The host, can you help, please?
You are the host, yeah.
I'm of the Lutfia Solomon Day. Can you
Give me a second, Sam. I'm just trying. Give me
Oh, yes. Thanks, Nara.
And Nishit, how's your daughter doing?
She's doing fine.
Hello.
एक मिनट बोला हूँ मैंने.
Oh, Mr. Ram Noori. Hello. Handsome.
Jai Meher Baba. Jai Meher Baba, everybody.
Jai Meher Baba to you too, sir. A very quick PJ Ram.
I have.
Hello.
Jai Baba.
You said you have mental problem. Somebody has dental problem. I have both dental and mental problems. It's okay.
Wow, wow, wow.
How's your study going on?
Yeah, I've got my exams going on.
Wow. Schooling or college?
I'm in 12th.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So next year you are flying off. Is it true?
No, so there's 13th for us. So we have grades 1 to 13. And then post that, there'll be college, university, that kind of.
Okay. You're planning to go abroad to the West?
Not sure, still deciding.
Okay. You got one more year to decide.
Yeah.
How's mom doing?
She's doing good.
Okay. Say hi to her.
Sure.
Jimmy Mody, Jai Baba. Actually, it's been quite a while, but since today is a national holiday, and I could make it, so that's super.
Oh, great. What holiday is it?
National holiday.
Which national?
No, the UAE national holiday.
UAE national.
Yeah.
They're in Dubai now, boss. The Dubai, these Arabs have Thursday, Friday weekend.
Oh, I see.
I
Yes,
never
sir.
knew about Thursday. I never knew about Thursday.
Like our Saturday, Sunday.
I understand, but I never realized. Okay, good.
But that's Thursday. Jimmy Uncle half day Thursday they have.
Okay.
Like Saturday. So Thursday is like Saturday to them.
Okay.
According to Parsi calendar, we have Thursday, Friday.
Jimmy Mody, you and your sense of humor, I tell you. Parsi calendar. Oh, God. Okay, we've got 1 more minute to go. Anybody wants to comment on Jimmy Mody's Parsi calendar? Please go ahead.
We are looking forward to his stories.
I am.
One more person may log in. Some uncle. Jimmy's friend.
Good.
Yeah. I told him also. He said he made log in from Goa.
Who?
Ananda. Friend of mine. Common friends.
Jaising.
Yeah, he might log in. I told him.
Okay.
Iffy, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, folks, it's time. Jai Baba, everybody.
You want to wait a few minutes or should we start?
We start. We start with the small, short prayer. Beloved God, help us all to love you more and more, and more and more, and still yet more, till we become worthy of union with you. And help us all to hold fast to Baba's Daman till the very end. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Jai Baba, everybody. I'd like to invite our one and only Meher Baba come and take over this session and the goings on during this entire evening program. May it be conducted and may it go as per his wish and his wish alone. That is my ardent prayer to him. Through this forum, we have managed to get to the lovers of God to come out and talk about their own various experiences. This evening we have Dr. Jimmy Mody, who actually does not need to be introduced because most of us know him either at the center or through this Zoom meetings. Baba has his own ways of doing things, and to reach to him, people have paid a price for it. That's what I can say. And when Jimmy Mody's talks unfold, we shall realize what all he went through in order to be ready to receive Meher Baba. There's something about this man, Jimmy Mody. Number one, he's very soft-spoken. In fact, he's so soft-spoken that we had to change our sound system at the center. Yeah, I'm just joking, but he is really very soft-spoken. But to me personally, what I enjoy the most whenever I meet Jimmy Mody in person is when we embrace each other. Because that man is at peace with himself. And we do not utter a single word. It's in silence, total, complete silence, that we embrace each other. And that peace is felt in our hearts. So Jimmy Mody has done a lot of books, readings and explanations for and on behalf of our center, for which I'm very grateful. We are all very grateful. He's highly qualified. I mean, I've never come across someone who's a chartered accountant plus a psychotherapist, as they call themselves. And his life even before his meeting or getting connected to Meher Baba was, according to me, conducted from Baba above. Let us not waste too much time. I would like Jimmy to take over now and go ahead and speak out whatever his heart prompts him to do. Thank you, and Jai Baba.
Greetings, everybody. Jai Meher Baba. I hope you can all hear me clearly. Let me start with an explanation. We go about our lives largely unconsciously, subconsciously, without knowing what we're doing, why we're doing, how we're doing. Only 10% of our minds approximately is conscious. The remaining 90% of our minds is completely unconscious. So it is with this in mind that I wish to explain. Whenever there is a story of Meher Baba to be said, the first question that everyone asks is, how did you meet Meher Baba? How did you go to Baba? How did Baba call you to him? Well, I need to explain this in a slightly different way. You see, certain things happened to me when I was only 25 years old. And in those days, I had no inkling of spirituality, occult, or any of those things, no interest in the subject, let alone having ever heard of the name of Meher Baba. But I believe that the things that happened to me starting from the age of 1975, when I was 25, till now, as Sam said, have actually been all orchestrated by Meher Baba. So when did I come to Meher Baba? Much before I knew Meher Baba, much before I'd heard of his name. Baba was already involved in my life in his own inimical way. So let me tell you what happened in 1975 when I was 25 years old. I'd always been up till then a happy-go-lucky, simple Parsi boy, born and living with a silver spoon in his mouth. No idea what he wanted to do with his life. Went to St. Xavier's College, where he pursued his degree in economics, and from there went to London to pursue a career in chartered accountancy as an article clerk. At about that time, I had a younger brother who was 5 years younger than me. His name was Danny, and he had gone to Switzerland to pursue his education in MBA. So the two of us spoke to each other. We were very close with each other. And we decided at some point, after 3 years of being away, that we should come back to Bombay and visit our parents and be with our parents, reunite. So we arranged to do that. Back in Bombay, my father, who was a God-fearing Parsi gentleman, insisted that he take his family to Udwara, which is the Parsi place of pilgrimage, where the main Parsi fire temple, or Atas Beram, exists. But he decided to make a picnic of it. So we would drive to Udwara, stopping on the way several places, spending a few nights here and there. And the last leg of the journey was to Udwara. With us, in my father's car ahead of us, was the lady whose family owned the Navsari silk and cotton mills. So we stayed in some of her company's guest houses in places like Daman, Diu, Valsad, Navsari, etc. Behind my father was our little car, which was that lady's car, it's a small Padmini, in which were two people, my brother and me, four of us. The car was being driven by that lady's driver. All I can remember is nice sunny road, country road, trees, tree lines on the side, lots of greenery, paddy fields, blue skies. And then my memory comes to an abrupt end. Tuck. A complete abrupt end. Till this date, I have no idea, no memory, no images, no visuals in my mind about what happened to me or to us. Everything was told to me like it might be told to you in reading from a storybook. I began to become conscious very gradually, waking up in a room that I couldn't make out what it was, yellow walls, white flitting figures flitting all around, dark. And my consciousness would last a few moments and then relapse into deep unconsciousness or deep sleep. In the few moments of consciousness, I would wonder, where the heck am I? Where am I? What happened to me? And as the moments of consciousness grew longer and longer, my speculations grew more and more. I could not remember anything. And I speculated. I remembered that I was on my way to Udwara. And I vaguely remember the hotel in Udwara where we normally stay. So I imagined myself leaning out of the balcony or the first or second floor of that hotel with a bottle of beer in my hand, getting drunk silly, and then falling over the balcony and falling unconscious. But at last, alas, that was not what really happened. And what happened was told to me by various people, including my parents. Our little Padmini car that was traveling behind my father's car went headlong into a truck that was coming from the other end, which my father missed by going off the road. Our little car and the truck went bumper to bumper. Naturally, my parents got scared, frightened, came running out, took the 4 bodies, put them into their car, and sped off to the nearest hospital, which I think was in Navsari or Balsara. At the hospital, all 3 of them, my brother inclusive, and the 2 other guys, were pronounced dead on arrival. And I was told, and my parents were told that I was barely alive and that I needed desperately a blood transfusion, otherwise I would not live. So they went hither, thither in that small town, found the blood which I had, and started the transfusion. I was completely unconscious, no idea of anything. So they got the ambulance from that hospital, put the 3 bodies and mine into the ambulance doctor, ambulance driver, and my parents in their car. And our little convoy then sped off to Breach Candy Hospital, where they were waiting for us. It was another 4-hour journey through the country to the hospital. The doctor was worried because I was in a precarious condition. Apparently, and I'll keep saying apparently because I have no memory of it, apparently the first rains of the monsoon broke and a cow ran across in front of the ambulance. And the ambulance hit the cow, swerved, and turned upside down in a ditch on the side of the road. My parents were absolutely hysterical, especially my mother. Came running to see if I was still alive. The doctor managed to make sure that I was somehow still alive. And oncoming trucks, they stopped with a rope and pulled the ambulance back onto the road. But the ambulance was damaged. The radiator was leaking. The accelerator was damaged. So the ambulance driver managed to fix the accelerator using a brick, but nothing could be done about the radiator. So they got us bodies into the ambulance, the doctor, the ambulance driver, my father in his car, set off once again for Breach Candy Hospital. Every 10 minutes, the ambulance had to be stopped because of overheating, and they would run to the paddy fields or whatever water source they could find, fill up whatever containers they had, and put it in the radiator. And in this way, we slowly inched our way to Bombay. At Breach Candy Hospital, they were informed about what had happened, and they were waiting for us. And I'm told, apparently, that it was hit the headlines at that time, and all the doctors, nurses, and whoever else were waiting to see whether I would arrive alive or dead. The ambulance was supposed to arrive sometime at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The ambulance arrived at midnight. And apparently on arrival, I was taken off on the stretcher and rushed into the intensive care unit, where the doctor in charge, who was a senior doctor, wired me up to all kinds of monitoring equipment, screens, and blipping machines, and informed everybody that he is not to be touched with any medication. We cannot operate on him because we don't know whether he will live or he'll die. He's got one leg in the grave and one leg outside. We have to see whether if he lives, then we'll rush him to the operating theater. So like that, I did time pass for 72 hours in the ICU at Breach Candy Hospital. And a good 72 hours later, that is 3 days later, they decided I'm going to live. Both legs turned up on the right side or the wrong side, whatever you want to call it, of life. And I was rushed into the operating theater. They discovered that I had badly fractured my skull. I had a split from here to here, and I had crushed the bone over here. The brain membrane was torn, contused or bruised, bleeding from my ears and my nose or whatever. And so I was operated on my brain for my head first by Dr. Gajinder Singh. Somehow I recovered from that, I don't know how. Then I was rushed to the operating theater again because I had badly fractured my left elbow and my right femur bone, the main bone just above the knee. And when I say badly fractured, they were splinters. So I went in for an orthopedic surgery as well. Came out of surgery into the ICU. Very, very slowly, inch by inch, consciousness started coming back to me for brief spells, and then I would relapse into deep sleep. Seeing myself in this ICU room, an environment I couldn't understand, with flitting white figures. At first, I didn't know where I was. Then it occurred to me that these flitting white figures were nurses, and that I must be in a hospital somewhere. You have no idea what it is like to completely lose your consciousness. At the best of times, I would not know what date it was or what time it was. And I would ask someone, what is the date today? What is the time today? And within 3 minutes later, I would ask the same question, never having known that I'd asked that question before. My memory lapse was complete. The doctors had informed everybody that I was not to be informed at all that my brother had been killed. So they told me my brother was alive, suffering from his injuries, also in the hospital, in the room next door. And like this, I came out of the ICU into the general ward, thinking that my brother was down the corridor in another room, not knowing, not suspecting that he also had been killed, and in fact killed in the first accident itself. Then one day, one fine day, maybe 6-8 months later, being in the hospital, the doctors informed my parents that he is safe now enough that you can tell him that his brother is no more. So my hospital door opened, my parents walked in, very grim, long faces, dark scowl, came up to my bed, held my hand, and told me the truth about my brother, that he was no more. It came to me as a very severe, sudden shock. I went completely blank. And I mean completely blank. And then a sudden, extreme rage of anger entered me, filled me up completely. And I started first speaking to God and saying, what did I do to deserve this? What did my family do to deserve this? We were most God-fearing Parsi family, driving on our way to pay our love and respects to you in the Artis Beram. And this is what you've done for us? And with that, I let loose a continuous volley of curses and gali of the worst kind at the top of my voice, loudly for everyone to hear. And I continued raging like this. And I continued cursing God in every way I could, calling him bad languages, MC, BC, MF, the works, at the top of my voice. Well, that floor of the hospital, that ward of the hospital was full of Catholic nurses. They heard me screaming, cursing God in this way. They couldn't take it. Naturally, they couldn't take it. So soon I found, after my parents left, soon I found the hospital door open once again. And in came a Spanish Jesuit priest by name of Father Filela. He was the head of the psychology department at St. Xavier's College, where I had done my degree. When I saw him, I realized what happened, and my rage doubled. And even louder than before, I screamed at God, cursing him. I screamed at everyone in the hospital, saying, you think I can be intimidated? We send a priest to see me? I would love to use those words right now, but I would not like to, for ladies are present. And I expected Father Filela to look horrified, to come up to me and give me a lecture and warn me about the fact that I'm committing blasphemy and so on and so forth, and try and convince me to stop. I expected him to do all these things or to run away. But you know what? He didn't do any of that. He didn't do any of that. Instead, he came up to my bedside, very gently held my hand in his hands. In complete silence, just held my hand in his hands, in complete silence. He said nothing, in complete silence. And suddenly, through my raging anger, I felt Father Philella's unconditional love for me. Cutting through my anger like a knife through butter. At which point I stopped screaming, I stopped cursing, and I started crying. I will never forget you, Father Philela. Wherever you are, I love you forever. So I recovered from that episode, long enduring, painful recovery in hospital. And during that, in my room in the general ward, I would imagine that I was seeing shadowy figures flitting across the room sometimes, but dismissed it as my imagination. I was never into spirituality or spirits or ghosts or anything like that. And so time passed like in this way. The doctors had prescribed that I be given heavy doses of painkillers, tranquilizers, and sedatives each day, especially at night time, to help me to go to sleep. But I would fall asleep at 2:33 in the morning and wake up at 5, sharp, bright as a daisy, full of energy, brimming with energy. And soon I began to feel this energy during the day. It was the most unusual feeling of energy. I felt I could do anything, even fly, if I wanted to. And so then the idea came into my mind. Nothing is impossible. The word impossible just does not exist. So various doctors came to see me. I had damaged my eyes, I had damaged my hearing, I had damaged my head, etc. And proposed all kinds of things, particularly for my eyes, because right from the beginning of recovery onwards, I would see 6s and 7s of everything. And when pretty girls came to see me, I would see 6 or 7s of those pretty girls also. And so I was quite happy with that. But the eye doctor, elderly Parsi doctor Pil Banerjee, came to see me, checked my eyes, and informed me and my parents that he could only help. It would require a series of operations on my eye because my eye muscles have lost their coordination. In the recovery process, some are longer, elongated, some are shortened. You would have to adjust each eye muscle until the eyes move sequentially in coordination with each other. And only then I would begin to see everything in single form again. And so he couldn't promise how many operations that would take. I had already been about nearly 20 hours on the operating table, and I was not ready for any more operations. So he said he'll come back in 2 or 3 weeks' time. In the meantime, I focused on that mantelpiece on the wall in front of me, where there was a bottle with pink liquid and a thermometer, and next to that, a poor excuse for a vase with some dead flowers in it. And I would see 6s and 7s of those, and I said, I'm going to force those images together somehow. And that's what I did every day, every waking moment of every day, force those images together. And finally, one day, those images remained together, and I got single vision back without having to have any operations. Dr. Pil Banerjee came checked my eyes. He said, "This is unbelievable. How did this happen?" I told him what I had done. But I saved myself a series of eye operations. And then I knew that the word impossible did not exist. I had many adventures in hospital, and if you want to read about it, they're in my book, Journey Beyond, which is available on Amazon and Kindle. Before the accident, I was a very quiet, introvert kind of guy. Barely spoke up, very shy, especially very shy of girls. After my accident, I emerged a very different person, an extrovert, nothing but jokes to crack and share with everybody. And God knows where these jokes came from. And apparently they must have been quite good, because the doctors in the hospital decided every Tuesday evening after visiting hours to congregate in my room, where we would all share jokes and laugh. And I tell you, looking back, this newfound sense of humor saved me, kept my head above water. It saved me in more ways than you will ever know or understand. Okay. Today I crack jokes. I was never like that. So time came for me to be discharged from hospital. I must have been in the hospital for a good 1 year or so. I don't remember. But in the hospital, they never thought I would walk again. They never thought I would ever get into a wheelchair. But I got into a wheelchair, even though my leg was in plaster from my heel to my hip. And when I got home, I was given crutches and I managed to get walking again with physiotherapy. And at home, another set of stories evolved. When I was in London, I used to be very close to a girl, Parsi girl who I knew there. She was my girlfriend. When she heard about my accident, she came running to Bombay. I'd never informed my mother or my father about my Parsi girlfriend. So she suddenly lands up at their steps, and they are gracious enough to allow her to stay in my house while she visits me. But then, according to my father and she developed problematic relationship. They were constantly fighting with each other. My father would complain that she's going out partying every night instead of respecting the fact that you're suffering in hospital. And things like that. And he would come and complain to me, and then she would complain to me. And I felt I was watching a tennis match, like this, like this. For me, the experience was torturous and angering. It made me angry. Don't these people know that I am the patient, not them? Yet they wanted me to sympathize with them. They wanted me to treat them as though they were the patients. Nobody thought of my predicament, what I was going through, how I was struggling to survive, how I was in pain. And this continued for a while, and then one day my father wrote me a letter, even though he was living in the same apartment as me. He wrote me a letter in red ink, what they call a red letter. And in that letter, he said some very, very hurtful, nasty things to me, which gave me the impression that he and I were separating for good. So now I've lost my father, I've lost my brother. I'm in no condition to know whether I will exist or not. So I went into a depression, into a severe depression. And as days passed in that depression, I began to think of thoughts like life is not worth living. Life is just not worth living. My father doesn't love me. I've lost my brother. My family doesn't understand or care for me, what I'm going through. What is the use of living? So soon I started beginning to think of ways that I should take my life. I was disabled, couldn't walk, lying in bed, leg in plaster, arm in plaster, bandage around my head. And I was thinking of ways of taking my life. Finally, it occurred to me a good way to take my life. I was on a prescription of certain barbiturates because of my head injury. I had developed an epilepticogenic focus, or whatever that's called. And the bottle full of barbiturates was on my bedside table, which is on my right. Next to it was a glass of water. So the evening nurse came, and as usual, she went into the bathroom to change and get ready. And I thought this would be a good time when no one is around and I'm left alone. So I reached for the bottle, I opened the bottle, and I emptied all the tablets into my mouth. And then I took a glass of water and I tried to swallow those tablets. Now, I don't know if you realize, but when you're in an emotional state, you can't think very clearly. I used to have the hardest time trying to swallow 2 or 3 tablets at a shot. And here now I've got my mouth full of tablets and a glass full of water, trying to swallow them all down in one go. It was really, really tough to do that. And whilst I was trying to swallow those tablets down, the night nurse, her name was Sheila, came out of the bathroom. And she saw me with an empty bottle in my hand. And she went absolutely ballistic, hysterical, like I can't tell you. She started crying, screaming, shouting out my name. Don't, Jimmy, no, no, please don't. She came running across to me, held my feet, begging me not to do it. And she started kissing me on my feet. And I could feel her tears on my toes. I was so shocked by her that I completely forgot about the tablets in my mouth. She was so distressed and crying that the only thought I had in my mind was I wanted to comfort her. So I called her over to the side, put her head on my shoulder, and started stroking her back to comfort her. What happened to the pills, I don't know. I never swallowed them. But her love for me at that moment saved me. Just as Father's filial love for me, that moment saved me. So I had these strange experiences. When suicide patients come to me, I know very clearly what they're going through because I've gone through it myself. So finally, I got back in order again. I made up with my father. and the recovery continued at home. At home, I managed to get going on the wheelchair, rudimentary walking on crutches, and then one crutch. And people would come and visit me. And there was a girl I got to know who had taken a fancy to me. And through her, I was invited one evening to go, I think it was to the blow-up discotheque or to the cellar, go clubbing. It was my first outing with a group of friends. And I was the only guy there with crutches, one crutch. And all the girls wanted to dance with a guy with one crutch. So I was having a gala time. And because I had only one crutch, I had a good excuse to lean on the girl's shoulder with the other hand. So I had a double gala time. And I was dancing on the dance floor in this discotheque with a girl. And through the corner of my eye, I saw a couple at the other end of the dance floor. The girl was constantly turning around to look at me. And then suddenly she left her man standing on the floor. She came running to me, calling out my name, Jimmy, Jimmy, Jimmy. Amazing, how can you be here? And tears were streaming down her eyes. She grabbed me, she started kissing me all over the face, hugging me. By that time, I thought the whole world has gone mad. She turned out to be a nurse from Rich Candy Hospital, where they never thought I would ever sit, let alone stand or walk. And here I was in the discotheque dancing. That just about blew her mind. So can you imagine I had that kind of experience also? For what reason, I don't know. Then whenever I went back to Beach Candy Hospital to have some tests, all the watchmen, the security officers would come running to my car, open the car door, shake my hands, and 2 or 3 of them would tell me how they were all putting candles for me at the church, at the novena at the church in Maim. What is that church called? I forget, St. Michael's or St. something or the other, hoping that I will recover. So I guess I had a lot of well-wishers, friends, and a lot of love coming to me from many sources. So by now I had recovered. In one of the discotheques, I met the young lady who was to become my wife. I returned to America where I was pursuing my accountancy career and took the young lady with me where she became my wife. We got married. And I was wondering, why am I pursuing this accountancy career? Because I really don't know anything better to do. And my father-in-law was calling me back to work in his company. So I went back with my wife and left America forever. Back in Bombay, I became friendly with a young Parsi lady doctor. We shall call her Firoza for now. And she had a lot of experience and exposure to spirituality, occult, and other things. She was very intuitive. We talk about angels, Archangel Michael, this one and that one. And she told me that, Jimmy, there's a place in Bombay, Ontario, where they have something called seance meetings. And she told me what happened in those meetings. Where there was a spirit medium who'd stand up and be occupied by a spirit guide. And the spirit guide would talk through her. I was fascinated by this, although I was highly skeptical of all these things. So I told her, oh, I'd love to go. By that time, I had already started training in psychoanalysis. So the idea occurred to me, I would like to observe the mind from the spiritual point of view as well as the psychological point of view. So she took me there. We were sitting in the outer circle, and there was an inner circle where the medium sat. The lights went off, and people started chanting Om. It was a very beautiful crescendo of Om chants that came. And then the Parsi lady, white matted hair, by name of Anwar's printed frock, suddenly stood up. The spirit guide had arrived, had gone into her, and she started talking in a completely different accent and started walking around to different people and giving them messages. And apparently the practice was newcomers were the first to get messages. So she came up to me, and I'd been instructed not to speak unless spoken to. So I silently sat there. She took my hand in her hands like this. And she spoke to me and she said, child, you are very, very skeptical, are you not? She spoke in a very strange accent. I said, yes. But don't worry, child. One day you'll become a believer. And like that, she was talking to me. And she knew what work I was doing. And she said, you're doing a very difficult job. And there may be times when you yourself will need help. So whenever you need help, just ring and I'll come. And I'll be there for you. Oh, very nice, thank you. Then she suddenly shot her hands away with a gasp. And she said, ooh, dear child, you have too much of energy in you. I don't remember the expression, you're flowing in energy or flooding in energy or something like that. Then she said, you are a generator of energy. One day you will be giving out energy to thousands of people. By that time, my ego took a toss. So I started imagining myself, Jimmy, at last you have arrived. I can go to Dharavi, stand on a platform like Jesus Christ, dress in a white robe, grow myself into a Jesus Christ beard, and start giving energy to everybody. Arey, man, Jimmy Mody has arrived. Just then she cut into my thoughts and said, but child, do not get too puffed up with yourself. Don't get carried away with these thoughts. Don't get too puffed up with yourself. Be humble. And that was my first initiation, I think, that I ever knew of this energy. Every Saturday I would go into that room for the seance meetings. The energy grew more and more powerful within me. Soon I would just enter the room and sit down before anyone came and I would be shaking with this energy. Soon this energy was with me even at home, and I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know whether it was good or bad. It just felt very, very good. So I thought that I've become a great healer now. So I should go around healing people and giving them energy. But I would experiment first to see how far I could go with this. So I remember a workshop somewhere in the countryside, which I was attending. During the lunch break, everyone was sitting around, a crowd, a room, a hall full of people. And one friend, she started complaining of having a migraine headache. And she was the other end of the table. So I focused on her for some time, quietly, for about 10 minutes. And then half an hour later, I called her and I asked her, well, how's your migraine headache? And she looked surprised and said, oh, it's gone. Amazing. How did it go? Then I said, wow, Jimmy, now you can do it across the table like Jesus Christ. So I got even more puffed up. By about that time, I was reading Meher Baba's book, God Speaks. And I came across that part where Baba said, completely forbid us in doing this healing, wheeling thing and occult practices and all this energy stuff. And I remember feeling really sad and disappointed. But, why, Baba? You give this to me. Why have you given this to me then? What am I to do with it? Must be some mistake. Baba doesn't mean that. Maybe he doesn't mean me. So I continued. I had also been attending Krishnamurti Foundation meetings in Malabar Hill, Pushpul Jaika's house, old house, where they would meet every Thursday at 5:30. And there I met a fat lady called Sheila. And one day Sheila invited me, along with the lady who was the facilitator of the seance meetings, to meet and have lunch with them at the CCI, poolside. So I went. And there Sheila started talking to us about this great mystic person who was sought for after by all the great industrialists around the world. They would come to him. And he was in a small place in an ashram of 70 acres of his own near Valsad. So I don't know, I have this bad habit of putting my foot in my mouth. So I did it once again and I just blurted out, oh, I would love to meet him. Meet him for what? Why? What will I do and meet him? So Sheila said, come, Jimmy, I'll organize it. She organized it one day. She and I caught the train to Valsad station. And from there, we took a rickshaw in the rain for 45 minutes to his ashram, a place called Nandigram. And there was this little bungalow where he stayed. And on the way, Sheila tells me, after having traveled for so many hours, she suddenly tells me, oh, if he's not well, he won't see you, huh? I said, wow, then what have we come all the way here for? So I said to myself, at least I can have a picnic and go back if he's not well. So in that bungalow, I waited outside on the terrace as Sheila went in to speak to his wife. His name was Makran Baba. So she came out to tell me that Makaran Baba is not well and is not seeing anybody. So I said, now what do we do? Nothing, I've got some business with his wife. You just sit there. I'll come out and we'll go back. They'd given us a cottage somewhere in the ashram premises to stay the night. I said, okay, now what can I do? So I sat there. It was raining like hell. In about 10-15 minutes, Sheila comes out with his wife, Kundalini Ben. And Kundalini Ben comes up to me and says, Makaran Baba says he will see you, only you. He's been waiting for you. Waiting for me? Okay, wonderful. So I go into the house. There's this large room, air-conditioned room, and in the middle there's this metallic bed, the machardani down. The chair is pulled up for me alongside the bed. The machardani is taken out. And this really wrinkled old hand comes out to greet me. And this man's head pokes out. Old man, white hair, big toothless grin. He says to me, greetings. Greetings. I've been waiting for you. Oh, okay. And then he had a cackle of laughter. And he said, you didn't think I was waiting for you, no? You didn't think you had been called to see me. You have come to see me. You didn't think that I have called you to see me. I said, no. Well, let me tell you, you have been called to me because you have to give me a message. Oh shit. Now what message am I supposed to be giving him? Nobody had told me any message to give him. So I quickly was thinking what message to give him. During all these days, various healers, crystal healers, all kinds of healers from around had come to Makaran Baba to try and heal him. None had succeeded, and he and Kundalini Ben had decided no more healers. But now as I'm thinking what message to give him, suddenly she comes up and says, Jimmy, please, why don't you heal him? She doesn't even know about healing or my energy or anything. She just says, why don't you heal him? I said, okay, I don't know. I've never done healing for anybody before. So I thought I'll just put my hand 6 inches above him, his head and his chest, and see what happens. I could feel the energies in my hand and in my body. 10-15 minutes later, I stopped. And then suddenly he shot up from bed into sitting position, asked his servant to prepare the veranda with 2 chairs, one for him and one for me. And we went and sat over there. And then he started regaling me with all kinds of, I won't call them stories, anecdotes, wisdom. He was trying to introduce me to what he called the spirits of the forest, the devas and devis that live in the forest. He introduced me to a practice in the West that originated from the Amazon River, Congo, which used an intoxicating liquid made out of some herbs, which they call ayahuasca. And he told me about that, and he gave me a book on it. And then he told me, holding my hand, and he said, son, you don't know it, but you're going to go on the international scene. You're going to be giving out energy to lots of people. Then he said something about Ratan Tata and Yadi Tata, I don't remember. And that was the end of that meeting. It touched me very deeply. Something about him touched me very deeply. And I went back, almost in silence, to the rickshaw on the train ride back home. That night I spent in Nandigram, in the ashram. And this strange pie dog started following me all over the place, till I reached the door of my cottage. And I closed the door so that the pie dog wouldn't come in. In the morning when I opened the dog was lying there in front of the door, waiting for me. I thought that is kind of strange. So I found myself cutting paths, crossing paths with all kinds of gurus, saints of some kind or the other. Not knowing what is going on in my life, not understanding any of it. I could name many more, but that will take a long time. So to cut the long story short, I met my friend Firoza again. We would spend long hours talking and exchanging stories. And in that process, she mentioned to me a name which I had never heard before. The name was Meher Baba. My first reaction was, oh, not another Baba. But something in my curiosity provoked me to ask her, so what does he teach? And she couldn't tell me what he taught. Then one fine day, I go to her house and I realize that she has got a pile of books which she is trying to sell. And these are the books written by Nan Umrigar. Her first book, Sounds of Silence. And she says, Jimmy, why don't you take one? So I took that book, Sounds of Silence, started reading it in the evening. It so fascinated me that I couldn't put it down. I stayed up the whole night reading it. Next day, I told her I must meet Nan Umrigar. I don't know who this Nan Umrigar is. I'd love to meet her. So there and then, Firu picked up the phone, spoke to Nan. Nan invited me over to her apartment room in the CCI club. The next morning, I was to go and be there before 9 o'clock because she started her automatic writing, which is what Nan Umrigar did, at 9 sharp. And that's what her book was about. So I went there early. I remember Nan sat on a sofa next to me on my left. There was a coffee table in front of us. On the table, there was a picture of her son, Karl Umrigar, who died and went to Meher Baba. And there was a picture of Meher Baba. And there was a little diya. She pulled out a little exercise book, which they use in schools, Rajat exercise book kind of a thing with lines in it, and a red plastic ballpoint pen. And she made me go through various strange things which I've never done before, like going blank in my mind. Putting the pen on top, she started writing. And the messages that came forward for me through Karl from Meher Baba were all very nice. He was a nice gentleman, blah, 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 blah. Nothing impressive, nothing to convince me that it's really happening. So I said, okay, nice. Then suddenly Nan says, Jimmy, I'm getting a very strong message to give you the book and the pen. Me? First time I'm going blank, and you want me to try this lafrabaji? So she pushed the book, gave me the pen, showed me how to hold the pen from the top, not from the bottom. Place it on top of the paper, close your eyes and go blank. I did that. With my hands outstretched, it was shaking a little bit, but nothing more that seemed to be happening than that. And curiosity was getting the better of me, so I asked Nana after a few minutes, now can I please open my eyes? He said, okay. I opened my eyes and looked into the book. And I saw nothing there except for squiggles. The top 4 lines of the page were filled with squiggles. Nothing more than that. So I was kind of quite disappointed. And I said, Nan, obviously this is not for me. Obviously this is not for me. And I pushed the pen and the paper book back to her. She looks at it and she turns to me and says, Jimmy, how is it that you cannot see what you have written? I said, I just saw. There's nothing there. So I given it back to you. So no, and she pushed the book back to me again. And I looked again. And lo and behold, to my utter surprise, on the first line itself, in the middle of all the squiggles, I suddenly realized that I had written 2 words, Meher Baba. That completely blew my mind. That was the first time I ever said, my God, there's clearly something out there that goes beyond my 4 or 5 senses. Then I really wanted to go to Mehrabad with Firoza Baba. So a trip to Mehrabad was planned.
Good.
A trip to Mehrabad was planned. Some weeks later, Firoza Baba had been there before. She went down to VT station, bought the tickets, etc. And the next morning, I was told to be there. The train left at 6:15. So I was there 6 sharp, maha enthusiastic, maha early. Firoza was not there. I waited. Suddenly the announcement came that the train is about to leave. No Firoza. The train starts moving and I'm holding on to that rail. No Firoza. I'm thinking, I'll miss going to Mehrabad my first time. Maybe I should just jump on the train and go. I said, no, I can't reach Firoza. So I waited on the platform as I saw the train leave the platform. And as the train left the platform, from the other end, I see Firoza walking happily, merrily on the platform, as though nothing has happened. She comes up to me and says, what has happened? I'm hopping mad. And I tell her, what has happened? Can't you see, is this the time to come after the train leaves? Is this the time to come? So I fire her. So she says, can't be, Jimmy, something is wrong. Anyway, in half an hour or 45 minutes, there's that fast train to Pune. In Pune, we were to meet Nan and some others in Nan's van. She would be driving us to Mehrabad. So we were afraid of missing that. And there were no cell phones that day, in those times. So we ran to the refund clerk, where she presented the tickets to him and she gave him a firing. Germany में, जापान में ट्रेन टाइम पर जाता है. सिर्फ इंडिया में, सिर्फ मुंबई में ट्रेन 15 मिनट जल्दी निकलता है. कैसा है तुम लोग? Refund clerk looking puzzled, said, Madam, tickets. Looks at the tickets, looks at her, looks at the tickets again, says, Madam, आपने दादर से ticket लिया है. So no wonder they were 15 minutes early. Now I was really mad. I could strangle Firoza. We went rushing to the Chhatrapati Shivaji ticket counter train, bought the train tickets, managed to get on the train, and were on our way to Pune. Fortunately for us, Dan Umriga and a van of people were waiting for us at the platform when we arrived. I soon realized that I was in a van full of ladies and I was the only guy, which was all right. So I got into the van and all the ladies were going kit, 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 kit. And each of them were telling stories of how they got messages from Baba through Karl Umrigar and through Karl and Man Umrigar, and how they were all thrilled that they'd got some message from Baba. Now I was feeling really pissed off, A, because missing my train. Now I'm in a van full of ladies who are going to drive me crazy all the way to Mehrabad. And I'm the only one who's left out who has not got a message from Baba. So I was really annoyed. I stuck my head out to the window and said, I'm going to ignore all of you. And like that, we landed up in Mehrabad. We landed sometime in the afternoon, went into the receptionist room. Everyone was yak, 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 yak. They knew what they wanted. I want this, I want that. Signing the register. I didn't know what I wanted, so I sat quietly till everyone left. And the American lady said, oh, you must be Jimmy Mody. And that was Lower Mehrabad, where the keys used to be hung on the wall. And there was only one key left on the wall. So she took it out and gave it to me. And I was taken to my room. It was a very nice, lovely, clean room. I'd never been in an ashram before. So I lay on the bed. It was a metallic bed. And I put my hand under the pillow. And as I reached my hand under the pillow, I felt something under the pillow. I took it out. And lo and behold, to my utter surprise, I saw it was a colored picture of Meher Baba with the words, real happiness lies in making others happy. So I said to myself, these foreigners who are running these institutions, they really know how to make you welcome by putting pictures of Baba under your pillow. So I went to the lady, I think her name was Susie, and I thanked her for this. She said, what? We have not put any pictures under anyone's pillow. And she said, this is just Baba's way of welcoming you. So I said, wow, terrific, okay. Then came the afternoon time towards evening aarti. We were to gather in the portico and walk up the hill to the Samadhi. All the ladies were there, again, yak, 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 yak. Amongst us was a lady by the name of Sunita, who had come with her young daughter, Pooja. Sunita had lost her husband a year earlier. Pooja had lost her father. So whilst the ladies walked up together, yakking away, I decided to walk behind them slowly up the hill. Sunita decided to walk with me. Walking together with Sunita towards the hill, we came across the road, then the railway line. And there was a rafter put across the railway line. I must tell you, Sunita had got a message from Baba, which they were discussing in the van, where Baba had told her she would be reunited with her husband under the arches of Mehrabad. As we approached the railway line, Sunita suddenly started shrieking, crying, getting hysterical. Said, "Ekdam mad hai." And she was pointing to the end, left end of the rail that was supported on the two rafters. And then I noticed somebody had written in white chalk the letters S-O-N-U, Sonu. And she said to me, Jimmy, it can't be. Nobody knew that my husband, my deceased husband, nickname for me was Sonu. And as we had to duck under the rafter to go on the other side, she realized that she was being brought together with her husband as she ducked under the arches, Mehrabad. Then we walked up the hill to the Samadhi. I sat on front row near the door. As I sat there, suddenly a troop of about 30, 40 little children in white kurta pajamas appeared in a neat line outside. And with them, 3 blind Hindustani classical musicians came and sat on the rug in front of the door and started playing. And the children started singing. For me, it was a divine experience. I completely went into a trance. I looked around, everything was glowing red with dark acacia trees showing with weird figures in the sky. And I didn't feel like I was here or there or anywhere. Meanwhile, the ladies had been asking me and asking themselves, when you finally go into the Samadhi, what wish are you going to ask Baba for? And I couldn't think of any wish. So my turn came to put my head down on the Samadhi stone, and I still couldn't think of any wish. Only thought that came, Jimmy, if you don't ask for a wish, you've lost a great opportunity. So the only wish that came into my mind was, dear beloved Baba, the only wish I can have that I have is to be your instrument on earth. I don't know where that came from. It didn't make much sense. I felt like an idiot. Good thing no one heard it. I got up and went away. We went back down the hill. The women going kak, 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 kak. I let them go first because I was still in a trance-like state. Wanted to be on my own. A little girl, Pooja, 15-year-old teenager girl, decided to keep me company. She walked along my side, my left side, I remember. In those days, the path down to Lower Mehrabad was very rough, and it was getting dark, and so one had to be careful one didn't trip or stub one toe. And so I was walking with Pooja. Hardly having taken a few steps, I turned to look at her. She turned to look at me. Our eyes met. As soon as my eyes met her, I completely lost consciousness. I completely 101% lost consciousness. So much so as though I had never existed. I only know about this because later at the bottom of the path, I regained consciousness. And I was walking with Pooja, still walking by my side. I had not tripped on the path, but I knew that I had not fainted. This was much more than fainting. So I turned to Pooja and I asked her, did she notice anything a little while earlier? She looked at me with her big brown eyes, innocent eyes, and said in the only way a 15-year-old innocent young girl can say, yes, Jamie, my father was walking alongside me. My father, who I lost a year ago, was walking alongside me. I'd been reunited with my father. So this is very strange, Baba. What have you done? I said nothing and continued walking. This was the singular, most powerful, unimaginably powerful experience I've ever had in my life. Even words cannot express what I experienced, the kind of unconsciousness I experienced. Back in Bombay, I was now a Baba lover. Back in Bombay, talking to Firoza again. someone mentioned the name. Someone called me in the evening to say that there is a Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev who's giving a talk next door to where you live. Why don't you go, Jimmy? I had read about the guy in O Positive magazine maybe a year earlier and was curious because he drove a BMW motorcycle. So I thought I would like to meet this motorcycle guru. So I went. It was a big event, lots of people, chairs, podium. And suddenly I noticed a friend walking down the aisle, and with her, Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev was walking. I waved out at her and said hi. She said hi. She said, would you like to meet him? I said, I'd love to meet him. Again, put my foot in my mouth. Not knowing what I would say to him or ask him when I would meet him. She said, come. So I came across. She introduced me to him like you would introduce me to someone else. I didn't know what to call him, how to refer to him. So I called him sir, and I shook his hands and said, glad to meet you, sir. Not knowing what to ask him, I blurted out in my own stupid, idiotic way, Sadhguru, Guruji, I would love to hug you. I would just love to have a hug from you. So he hugged me. It was a beautiful, deeply connecting hug. And he went on and gave his talk and suggested to my friend that I should come meet him the next day. He was staying at a house in Bombay, Rich Candy. So I went there next day to meet him. Whereupon I told him all about this energy stories and this and that. He says, you know, you need to come to the Isha Yoga ashram near Coimbatore. Don't come like all the Delhi wallahs who come like they are on vacation for 2-3 days and then go away. Don't come like a tourist. Come, when you come for a good 2 weeks. And make sure you come when I'm there. So I said, okay. So as months passed, opportunity to meet some of his brahmacharis came up, and I asked, when is he coming? They told me. I booked for me to go in the ashram and be there for 2 weeks. Flew to Coimbatore, went by rickshaw to the ashram. And in the office of the ashram, I told them I have not come for healing, I have not come to meet him or anything. He has told me to come for 2 weeks and to come only when he is there. So maybe you should at least inform him that I have come. They said, okay, please wait. So I sat. They went to inform him. The guy came back, he was one of the senior brahmacharis. Came back, he said, he's spoken to Sadhguru. He says, yes, he remembers you. He's glad you've come. And he has asked that you be put into complete silence for your entire 2 weeks here in the ashram. And with that, he pulled out a little orange sticky label on which was written silence, and he stuck it on my shirt. I was then taken to a dormitory where some 12, 15 other people slept on the floor. I was given a mattress, and that was to be my accommodation for my 15 days in the ashram. It was the ashram where the Sadhguru, through an immense knowledge of alchemy and Ayurveda, had built a huge, what he called Dhyana Lingam. So the lingam made out of black granite with a core of solidified mercury. And in the Dhyana Lingam Mandir, which was a dome, you could feel very tangibly the vibrations, the energy of the Dhyana Lingam. So I was really enjoying and experiencing that energy, since now I was already into energy. But I was in silence. I could not talk to anybody. The last day of my stay there came, and I said, "Oh, now can I start talking?" So at the opposite, I said, "No. Sadhguru put you in silence. Only Sadhguru can take you out of silence." So a meeting was arranged for me with Sadhguru in one of the mandirs over there. It was empty, only he and I were there. He sat on a bench, I sat on the floor. And he started talking to me as though nothing had happened. So how did you enjoy your stay here? Blah, 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 blah. And I told him about the energy. And his face became very dark and scowly and angry. And he waved his finger at me. He said, "Do not ever use this energy for anyone else. It is for you. It is not to be used. Do not engage in healing." So that was the second saintly person who's telling me this message. So I quickly gave up all hopes and ideas of using healing for this energy ever again. And I realized the importance of it. And I began to observe how healers who swore that they were not doing the healing, "I'm only facilitating the healing in you. You are doing the healing," they would insist. Yet if that person wouldn't get healed, the so-called healer would get crestfallen and look sad, like he's not achieved something. And if the fellow would get healed, the fellow would say, "Ah, you got healed, damn good." And everyone would say, "Wow, you healed her." So inadvertently, whether we like it or not, we rejoice in that moment of success, in that moment of arrogance, in that moment of ego. And that's when I started a battle with my ego. I refused to do any more healing and decided to become acutely, sharply aware, watching and witnessing my ego whenever I could, however I could. And let me tell you and share with you, ladies and gentlemen, friends, that I have got more out of becoming aware of my ego than I have got out of blindly using my ego with these fantasies of myself. We are all finite. Yes, you know it. But in each of us, there is a wish, a desire, an aspiration, a hope that we are infinite, or at least that we know more than each other. We are better than each other. All this is nothing but within us the workings of the aspiration of infiniteness. But we are not infinite. We do not know everything. We do not have infinite power, infinite knowledge, infinite bliss. The finite, us, the limited finite, who are us, we are not competent enough to judge each other. So stop judging each other. We are not competent enough to do this healing, no matter how much you determine to yourself that you are not doing the healing, that it's not affecting you. It is affecting you. It is coming from your ego. So beware of your ego. For the 3 letters of ego, EGO, stands for edging God out. There's no point deciding to edge God in and then in actual actions edging him out. Doesn't make sense. There's more. Please read the book. I think I've come to a finishing point now. I thank you all for your patience in listening to me. I hope it makes some effect on your life. I can only say thank you, Jai Baba. Thank you, all of you, and love you, all of you. Jai Meher Baba. Over to you, Sam.
Thank you, Meher Baba, for such a engrossing journey through this one gentleman's life called Jimmy Mody's life. Baba has his own uncanny ways of doing things. When I was to introduce him in the beginning, I had decided to narrate about the illustrious family that he comes from and all that. Nothing came out in words except his great connect with the Lord. This is his doing. Jimmy Mody, I would request you to, since you've stopped here today, I would request you to please come on again next Thursday shortly, briefly, and tell us about your visit to the center, your first ever visit to the center, how you met Darapsa, and
Really engineer.
Billy Engineer, right? So, and all those things that have happened to you in your journey with Meher Baba. I would really like all of us to hear this because most of us have heard you talk about and quote from God Speaks, like page so and chapter so, and like as though you swallowed the whole book. But the other side of Jimmy Mody is very, very, very beautiful. Beautiful is the word I use. There's no pride, no ego that I can ever see. The way he treats people. There was an old man whom he used to bring to the center. I'll never forget that. Kushru was his name. In his ever so humble way, Jimmy looked after him and all that. Oh, sorry. There is a question from Nikita Khatri. She wants to ask something. Sorry for the interruption, Jimmy.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nikita. Please unmute yourself. Yeah, okay.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So a few times earlier, I had come to Bombay Center, and I think Jimmy was the one who was doing God Speaks and used to give those lectures. So 2 or 3 times I've seen him. I have been to his sessions, and there was this one time there was this some man guy, some young chap who Jimmy used to particularly look forward to coming. Like whenever he came, and the enthusiasm in which he used to do the sessions of God Speaks was like on another level. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, do you like, and there was this one time when I think he missed your class, and you seemed really sad. But then when I heard your story today, I think you're a person who probably gets attached, like to people too soon. Is it like that?
Not really attached to people too soon, but I get attached to too many people.
Hello.
I don't know about attached, but it may sound corny or stupid, but I feel love for a lot of people.
That's not corny or stupid, Jimmy. That's not corny or stupid at all. At all.
Sam, can I come in? Mernosh here.
Please do.
Jimmy bhai, Mernosh, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, Mernosh.
Jimmy Bhai, this is the second time I'm hearing the story. I heard you speak about it at the center also a few years back. And one thing struck me very powerfully is the whole experience that you narrated about abusing God so intensely while you were in the hospital. Somewhere it struck me when I was listening into that part that I think that is where the intensity with which you remembered him while abusing him, that intensity opened the doors for you to come to Baba.
Wow.
And I think somewhere that was because it was, and in the discourses, I mean, you would know it, Baba has spoken about a beautiful word called divine disappointment. And that disappointment, or that moment that you went through in your life, losing your brother and finding yourself immobile in this condition, I think that brought out that question. Whenever we have the disappointments in life, we ask that question: what is the reason of my existence? Why am I living? And why are you there? And I think that intensity of remembrance, which was so wholehearted, that abuse which was so wholehearted, this is my personal thinking, I think has brought you to him, and opened the door for you to shine for the entire world.
Okay. Thank you, Manoj.
Very beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Lovely story. Really touched and really enjoyed.
Thank you.
What I really liked was when he went into the samadhi and it just came out from him, Baba, I'd like to be your instrument. And what a beautiful instrument he's made out of you, Jimmy.
Yes, absolutely, Sam. That was, I think, again, that was prompted by Baba to us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But like all instruments, it needs regular oiling.
Yeah, Aujay Centapa will put some.
You are Jimmy Bhai. You ask us, some of us who are working, the amount of oiling and greasing that is required just to keep ourselves floating in his work is no joke. But he keeps us going. He keeps us going. There's a lot of ridicule that we have to go through. There is a lot of comments and a lot of things that we have to go through. But Baba's love for us keeps us going. Really keeps us going.
And that is evident in the Mandali stories also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Also, I sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask, like, you had a really long journey with Baba. So do you think Baba is a little partial towards people, those who are not born in the Baba family? Because all the, the stories, the experiences and all these things, I usually hear it from the people who are not born in Baba family.
Yeah. Sorry, who's speaking?
Hi, this is Nikita here.
Hi, Nikita. Nikita, I have something very specific, very clear to say to you about this. Okay? Let us understand that if Baba is God, eternal and infinite, he has no favorites. There are no people that he will give more to and less to others. The problem is not from Baba's side. The problem is from our side. Like I started the discussion saying that we all have 10% consciousness and 90% unconsciousness. Okay? In discourses, Baba very clearly puts it that the goal is to make the unconscious conscious. In God speaks, he speaks of becoming conscious of God through conscious experience. Those people who are not conscious of Baba may not even know Baba's name, like I gave in my own experience. Doesn't mean that Baba is not involved in their lives equally as they are involved in yours or mine. It's just that they cannot see. So when you ask them, when did you come to Baba? They'll relate some stories that happened 10 years later when they consciously became known or came to Baba consciously. So you see, the issue does not lie with Baba. The issue lies with us. Baba's greatest complaint is that you all think that only if you call me, I'll come for you. You don't realize I'm always there with you. The problem is not that you have to call me for me to come to you. My problem is that you never call me. My problem is that you have no space in your heart for me. Your heart is full of strangers. So we few who are now conscious of Meher Baba are on the path of growing our consciousness of God consciousness, consciously growing our consciousness. Those who are not on that path, whether they follow another religion or not, or whether they believe in God or not, they have a while to go. And they will fight about whether God exists or not. So they have labels for themselves: atheist, agnostic, this one, that one. I went through all that. I read Richard Dawson's book where he tries to disprove God. And I came to one astounding, very simple discovery about God for myself, how to define God for myself. I rejected first all of the religious definitions of God. And I said, look, Jimmy, it's very simple. This whole thing in God Speaks is all about going from the gross to the subtle, to the mental, to the God realized. It's all about growing your and expanding your consciousness. So if it's all about that, then whatever level of consciousness I am at right now is limited and finite. Clearly, I have got a long way to go in growing my consciousness. And if the end point is God consciousness, then clearly the journey is an infinitely long journey. So very simply for me, then, God is all that I know right now, plus all that I am yet to know. So my search for God, my religion then becomes a search for growing my consciousness, for learning, for growing, for Antar Vidyan. And this is the definition of God which I challenge any atheist or agnostic to define or defeat.
Is there anybody else with any questions? Okay, then
Can I say something, please?
please, who is this? Identify yourself, please.
Mayor Darwala.
Yeah, please go ahead and be brief.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
why do when some people, will try to say that, oh, why are you believing in Baba, and you're a Parsi, you should not be believing. Why do people say all this?
My dearest, and one more dearest Mayor, please understand, people are limited, people are finite, people are ignorant, and that includes all of us.
Okay.
So someone who's conditioned in a particular religion or religious practice, be it Islam, Hinduism, or Zoroastrianism,
Yeah.
will wonder why you left Zoroaster and gone to Baba. But you should know better. You should know, Meher, that Baba and Zoroaster is the same. But don't try to explain that to someone else in that way. They won't understand it like that. So what I usually say is very simple. Meher Baba has not come to start another religion.
True.
It's written on his tombstone. I have not come to start a cult or religion. what he emphasizes over and over again is, I have come to awaken you to the true essence of your religion. I've come to tie the beads of a string together of all the religions. Because that string, that true essence of all the religions, is one and the same thing. And to my simple mind so far, that thing is love. To me, there's no greater wisdom, no greater thing than love. If you're awakened to it, if you're aware of it, if you see it around you, if you see it even in the movies, on the television, being expressed, the way two lovers look at each other, the way people do things for each other, the way love happens. Can you emphasize with that kind of love?
Because somebody asked me once, I just asked me, oh, you never believed in Meher Baba. I said no. The only person who introduced me to Meher Baba was Roshni, this thing, Shanaz, Roshni. So Roshni introduced me to Meher Baba,
Okay.
who stays in Andheri. She introduced me and she brought me into Baba's life. And so since that day, I have come into Baba's fold.
But that is
Jai Baba.
consciously you became into Baba's fold. Unconsciously, you were always there.
Anybody else?
You were always there. Yes, sorry, Sam.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
Okay.
Dr. Jimmy Mody.
Wait, just call me Jimmy Mody, yeah.
Okay, Jimmy Mody. It's not a nice feeling to bring this session, a closure to the session. Honestly, I mean, we could go on and on and on till kingdom come. Because for this 1.5 hour or 1 hour 45 minutes or whatever we've taken, I haven't even measured the time. As far as Sam Patel is concerned, I was in bliss. You transported us. That is the word I use, Jimmy.
No, I know transported.
You have that the power, the energy, whatever that you used to possess earlier came back this evening and lifted us. And now suddenly, like a hot potato or a hot brick, we've been dropped back to the so-called world. And this is where we belong. This is where we'll have to live for the rest of our life. But it's people like you who come along once in a way and lift us up. I request you very sincerely, Jimmy, to please come over again next Thursday and continue from where you left. There are still a lot of things that you have to tell us, I'm sure. So please do us a favor, and if everybody is okay with closing up, Jimmy Khan, you want to say something? No? Okay.
Hi, this is Ajay. Just short thing. Jai Baba Jimmy, thank you for sharing your story. And last minute, the internet had gone. So you're going to continue, is it? Because I just wanted to know about the energy that you had. Did you then, where do you use it? I mean, in your psychotherapy, or what happened about that then?
What?
The energy that you felt.
I don't use it consciously. I don't use it ever again. I try not
after that. Yeah.
People have come and asked me to do it, but I don't like to use it. Like Baba has said,
Everything. Yeah.
don't try to understand me. Just love
Yeah.
me.
Mm,
That shouldn't be too hard to do, yeah.
correct. But that's Baba who had done that to you, I think. Had helped you heal how many ever that you could have. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all. I love you all.
Thank you, Meher Baba,
So much.
for everything that you have been doing for us, you have done for us, and you will be doing for us. We just don't have any words to express our gratitude. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai. Barai Subedar, may you please close the shop. Thank you.
Thank you all. Love you all.
Jai Baba, thank you.
Jai Baba, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.